So I'm Hannah Gamble, or Hannah, and I'm 21, and my dad was called Nick Gamble. Yeah, it's hit me now. My dad was such a big character. Oh, he was amazing, like the best dad ever. He loved music, like that is where my memory of him is massive in music. Like everyone's always like, Hannah, you've got such a crazy music taste. And I'm like, yeah, it was my dad's. Yeah, he was like stuck in the 80s all the time. A massive sportsman. My brother plays cricket and I horse ride. And so he played golf as well. Snooker, he'd always like come home with a snooker trophy. My mum used to be like, oh my God, Nick, that's huge. And it's disgusting. But yeah, he was such a big character. Everyone would always say how much of a host he was. He was a joiner by trade, and you'd be like, oh Dad, could you build us a skate ramp? Because we got into scootering that year. And he would be like, yeah, of course I will. And then he'd like bring out this half pipe that was huge. And my mum would be like, that's massive. Why have you built such a big like thing? Or so he just would go above and beyond in everything. It's amazing. Such a like a big character. Yeah, amazing. He was diagnosed in 2018 with esophagus cancer, and he'd had successful treatment with chemo and then an operation. And we had some massive like ups and downs. We had some really good parts. The surgery was a success. And he was actually given the all clear, actually was able to ring the bell, which is quite sad when you think about it, but he was able to ring the bell. And then we went on a family holiday, and then unfortunately the cancer had come back. And then sort of 2019, he managed to go to Barbados with my brother to watch the cricket. So he was like determined to go and watch that. And then things obviously then started to not be so good. Yeah, I think it was sort of the end of January times when we found the hospice. I just remember it was we was only in the hospice sort of for 5 days, and we were quite sceptical. I know my dad was quite sceptical because you don't know what you're going to. I think you always think it's just where you're going to go to die. But actually, I remember when I first came, and I thought, what an amazing place. Like, I remember walking into the reception, it was so light and airy, and I was like, surely not. Like this, you don't think it's like that. And it was like, everything was just fantastic. I have so many fantastic memories in them last 5 days of his life that I look back on and smile about, because the hospice, it took away the sort of, in the hospital they do their best, and what the NHS do is fantastic. But when he came here, all the beeps and noises and rushing around was taken away, and we could actually just have time with my dad. And like, I remember he was like cracking jokes like in his room to my mum. Like, he wanted a cup of tea, and he was like, every time she brought a mug through, he was like, no, that's not the right mug, I need a different mug. Like making her like run around and sort of get things. And we had family and friends could go as well and see him, and I remember sort of just being around him and laughing, and it was just so magical in such a awful time. But it just was nice to be here. Like, yeah, everything was so welcoming, and you could go and spend time in his room and maybe put a bit of music on with him and just sit there and not have to say anything and just be in each other's presence was lovely. Especially, it made you cherish the moments so much more. Yeah. Yeah. I've done a little bit, only a little. Yeah, so I remember when we'd come to visit my dad, when he'd first few days that he'd been here, and I'd seen a sign for the trek, and I thought, oh wow, that's really cool. I'm a bit of an adventurer. Yeah, and I seen that we're going to Canada, and then I signed up straight away. But yeah, I raised, I think, 4,300 for Canada, for the hospice. And we went and trekked the Canadian Rockies, which was unreal. And to do it in like my dad's memory, but also knowing what a difference that would make for everybody else that would need the hospice, whether it was for end-of-life care or one of the like family sessions, it goes such a long way. And then I have also part of Strictly. That's obviously really exciting. I don't actually know how much I've raised yet, but we've all raised like a lot of money, I think. So dancing, I've always been a bit of a show off, a bit of a diva. So dancing, I am looking forward to doing that and taking part in it. And it's just all for a great cause. Like, Dove House do so much, and fundraising even just a little bit, to know that is going back to help other families in a situation that we were in, it just gives me so much, like, makes me so proud that I could like help someone else in that way, and just a little bit is like massive. I'd say to anyone wanting to donate that every penny, literally anything, goes so far. It helps so much, and the hospice is so much more than a hospice, and you never know when you actually might need the hospice, and to just make sure it still is here and it can provide the services that it provides so well. That's what I'd say.